Hello, percussion, and welcome to lesson 6, number 3. Uh, so, this whole lesson is teaching us what happens if we put a dot next to a note. And a dot will always make a note longer. It's just by how much. So, in the very first song, I think at the beginning of this lesson, it shows you a dot next to a half note or a dotted half note. We've gone over this in band class before. We've seen it in some of our band music. And a dotted half note is 3 beats long. All right, so we know a ta is 1. We know a whole note is 4 beats. We know a half note is 2 beats long. So we know something that's 1, 2, and 4 beats long. So we just didn't have a note that was 3 beats long until we saw a dotted half note. And a dotted half note is 3 beats long. So if we're looking now at number 3 in lesson 6, which is right here, we see a ta with a dot next to it. All right, a dotted ta. What would that even sound like? Well, we know a ta is just ta, and it has to be longer, but then like how much longer? Well, it would be, we would say a dotted ta like this. We go ta, which sounds almost like a half note, right? Ta. But it's not as long. So it's ta, ta, ta. And we see this note here, which is half of a TT. So it's just a T, right? So we have ta, T, ta, 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 T, ta, 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 T, ta, ta. All right, so if we want to get into the math of it, I'm going to try to draw it down here for you. Here's what happens when we dot a note. Half note, bloop, equals 2 beats. When I put a dot next to that, right here, here's our dot, bloop, 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 it equals 3. So a dot equals, you just add 1 to it. No. What the dot does, it makes the note longer by half of the note that the dot is next to. So the dot makes makes the note longer by half of the note it's next to. Well, it's next to a half note, which is 2 beats long, and half of 2 is 1. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that's why the dotted half note is 3. In that case, it's worth 1 beat. But let's say I have a whole note, which equals 4 beats. I apologize for my drawings. Right? So there's our whole note. It's worth 4 beats. What if I have a whole note and a dot next to it? Well, the dot makes the note longer by half of the note before it. So the note that's before it, the note that it's connected to, is a whole note, which we know is 4, and half of 4 is 2. So a dotted whole note would be 4 plus 2, 6 beats long. All right, follow me. Keep following me here. This is brand new stuff. So now I'm going to get rid of all of this. And remember, percussion, we can pause the video. We can rewind it so you can hear me reteach it. You can always just ask me a question in the comments or send me a message, and I will help you out to learn these rhythms. Okay, so now what about a ta with a dot next to it? How many beats is that actually worth? What's the number, right? We can read this rhythm in the beginning, right? We can read the rhythm ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, ta. But what's the math behind it? So we have a ta. Here we go. Here's our ta. Do my best. It's hard to do on a laptop. Pretty good. Here's our ta. We know it equals one beat. What if I have a ta and I put a dot next to it? Here's our dot. Well, we know a dot next to a note makes the note half of what it's worth longer, right? So the dot makes the note longer by half of what the note is worth that it's connected to. So we know a ta is worth one beat. And if the dot makes the note longer by half of that, well, then we're in fractions. But what is a half of 1? Well, it would be 1/2. So a dotted ta is worth 1.5 beats. 1.5 beats. So we can count that, right? 1.5. How do we count that? Well, we're going to read it using tas still. So that's where we're going to go ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, ta. And then, as we keep going, we're going to erase, and now we're going to go into the song. All right, how do we play these rhythms? We already have been reading them a few times. So let's get into playing them now. And there we go. Back to the beginning. Let's read our rhythms. So we see the dotted ta here, right? Ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, ta, rest, ti, ta, ta. So the second half, the third and fourth measure, is going to sound the exact same as the first two measures. It's going to look different, but it's going to sound the same. I'll move my speed down to 90. Let's read it with smart music. Read out loud. Ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, ta. And then we would repeat it. So let's play it now. Here we go. Ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, ta, ti, ta, 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 ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, 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 rest, ti, ta, ta. All right, percussion, that's how we read rhythms that have a dot next to notes. That's how we read dotted rhythms. And this is how we play lesson 6, number 3. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me a message. Bye.